Hello, Sun Ra people. To those of you of Earth and other worlds, reaching out. Hope you're happy and healthy. And you and your families and loved ones are safe. So, with this extra time at home right now, I've been spending a lot of time with Sun Ra music. It's been spending a lot of time going through the closets and pulling out old set lists and gig flyers, things like that. And also thinking a lot about Sun Ra friends that I'm not seeing now and haven't seen in quite some time. And in light of everything that the planet's going through right now, I was wondering if now might be a good time to maybe try out some group discussions and get the community involved and maybe gather around our love of the healing and instructional music of Sun Ra and the orchestra, and explore the technology that we have to stay connected, and maybe have some somewhat focused discussions maybe about certain albums, certain time periods, certain musicians that we could all join in and learn from one another and share with one another. As a part of Sun Ra Arkive, which goes back many years for me now. Really, that's just a name for my personal research. And I try to share what I find along the way, but part of what I've been trying to do for the past 30 years is find a direction and a thesis to take all of this learning and collect it to share it, and I'm still in search of that. But yeah, so, I'd always thought with my love of podcasts and some of my experience with radio and broadcasting that I always wanted to do a Sun Ra Archive podcast. But because the music demands so much respect and so much attention and is so broad and so deep, and really, in my opinion, needs the utmost care, I never really took the jump because, number one, I didn't feel I had the time to devote properly to making it happen the way that I believe that it should. And once you start something like that, you want to keep it going. But having seen some fellow musicians and the way other communities are kind of dealing with being at home a lot more right now, and our continued need for support with what's going on, I thought, I would put a call out to the Sun Ra community and the followers of Sun Ra Archive. Number one, ask you what's your interest in having these group discussions and maybe setting a time and getting together and talking about a record or a period or a musician and sharing with one another. And then number two, for my more technologically minded friends out there and those of you who use social media more than I do, what tools and forums would you suggest to have these conversations in real time that would allow as many people to participate? Number one, to share their faces and their smiles, but also that might have multimedia capabilities so that we could be playing snippets of the songs and videos that we're talking about, and maybe be able to share some screenshots of some of these flyers and ephemera that we're talking about. So if you know of a good application that would facilitate this, please let me know. And if it's something you want to participate in, also please let me know, and maybe we can make some plans and set up a time to do so. I hope you're all happy and healthy. And I know, obviously as fans and students of Sun Ra, we always learn from his message and the example that he and the orchestra set through their dedication, hard work, and their message. But I'm finding, as I've been listening over the past couple weeks, it continues to all come to pass, and words that are many, many years old now have even more resonance about the state of planet Earth, the capacity for the human race to evolve and ascend and fulfill its potential. That might be an interesting discussion to have, as far as what was Sun Ra trying to teach us? What was his message? I've been listening to a lot of recordings, and some of those recitations and those sermons, for lack of a better word, seem, even though some of them may have happened 40 years ago, it seems like Sonny's here talking to us right now, and there's still a lot to learn. So it might be interesting to kind of pull out some of those things that we're hearing that relate to today and now, and turn each other on to that. But before I let you go, I'm just going to share, I talked about some of what I've been trying to do to keep busy since I've been in the house for the past week. And part of that is going through some boxes that were given to me by my dear departed friend and my Sun Ra mentor and teacher, Richard Segan, who left the planet over 3 years ago now. And he passed on some of his Sun Ra ephemera to me. And it takes a certain amount of emotional state of mind to go through that stuff, but just the sheer time it takes to get everything on the scanner and do the work, as much as I want to, there's only so many hours of the day, and it requires a ton of energy. So I'm just going to really quickly flip around and show you some of the goodies that I've been digitizing and hope to share with folks in the future. So let's flip around and see what we can do here. So this is some cool stuff. We got lots of gig flyers. Tuxedo Junction, 1995. This is the postcard that was sent out for the pre-order for the Wavelength Infinity tribute. Marshall's Orchestra at SOBs. The record release party for Song of the Sun. The first release by Marshall Allen's orchestra. Great record. If you don't have it, seek it out. Magic Circle here in New England. UMass-sponsored progressive jazz series. Some unrelated stuff. Lots of personal letters to Richard about Sun Ra. Letter to Richard from the Morton Street address about a show I'm sure that he was booking. Bunch of Michael Ray stuff. Unused bumper sticker. Here's one that's really, really special to me. So artwork here is by a Connecticut artist named Joey Zone for Sun Ra and the Orchestra at Vondermain Recital Hall, University of Connecticut campus and stores, October 10th, 1991. This was my first Sun Ra show, and this is what changed the rest of my life. It all started there for me, and that's actually how I met Richard. I didn't know him at the time. He worked at WHUS FM, which is the radio station for the University of Connecticut. He had a weekly segment on his radio show called Sun Ra's Cosmic Corner, where for at least 15 minutes a show, he would focus on Sun Ra's music. And after the show, the seed was planted. I actually, interestingly or ironically, I fell asleep during the show, during the second set. The whole band was there. Sun Ra was there. Sun Ra was in a wheelchair at that time. I remember him and June and John Marshall vividly. But as a sleep-deprived college student, I ended up falling asleep during the second set. And I truly believe that the music made a deeper connection with my spirit by taking it in that slumbered state. And I'm sorry that I wasn't physically awake at the time, but I was certainly spiritually awake. And I do think that falling asleep during that show made the music seep deeper into my soul. But yeah, this is where it's all started for me. Some other cool stuff, programs from the Magic Triangle. I believe that this would have been Marshall Allen's orchestra. They booked Marshall's band a bunch there. Halloween at Columbia University in 2004, which was a wonderful show. The orchestra's rider from that 91 store show that Richard booked. Here's a cool thing I hadn't seen before. This was the pre-order that Hartmut Gierkin sent out for the first edition of the limited, highly sought after Omniverse Sun Ra, which at the time, let's see here, at the time the book was $70 plus postage US, and 91 I would have been 20 years old and a poor college student, and that seemed like a fortune at the time, and I couldn't afford it. Richard had it, and I would go over to his house and very respectfully ask to look at it, and I treated it as though it was sacred text. And ironically, it's not on the bookshelf next to me now, it's in the other room. Even though I couldn't afford it at the time, the universe made sure that I actually inherited 2 copies of it in retrospect. So it all comes around to you. Here's a cool one. Jazz at the Public Theater, Sun Ra show. This is undated, but I would guess it's late 70s, very beginning of the 80s. I'll have to track down and see what show this was, but check out their lineup here of shows they had booked. Sun Ra, Archie Shepp, Steve Lacy, Ralph Towner, and John Abercrombie. Pretty awesome. Here's a cool one. Artist Collective, February 28th, 1975. Sun Ra is not a part of this program, but Sun Ra's longtime bassist, Ronnie Boykins, is part of the Joe Lee Wilson group. Wonderful flyer for Michael Ray's Cosmic Crew and a tribute show that they did to Sun Ra. But yeah, just, I could keep going. Just some great ephemera here that I'm getting on the scanner. Mike's publicity photo. And it just keeps going on and on. And some other cool stuff here is this is very hard to come by. The Harvey Pekar, cartoonist of American Splendor, actually published his own book about Sun Ra, which I have yet to read, but will do so and throw that on the scanner too. But pretty cool. And then, of course, Harvey Pekar's American Splendor presents Bob, Robert Crumb comic in conjunction with Pekar, and this is the book that includes the famous Sun Ra cartoon, Riding the Dog, about Harvey's experience riding on the bus with Sun Ra and the orchestra. Just a great classic, beautifully drawn comic strip. So, pretty cool. And then a reprint from the Hines brothers, I believe, based on the stapling and the printing of another Harvey Pekar Sun Ra cartoon. This one's a little bit easier to find online. It was in the Ra Arkive magazine, and you see this often on social media. But we also got a bunch of jazz magazines from the 80s that got Sun Ra articles in here to scan, and some goodies. So that's how I've been spending my time. Trying to keep busy here. And the other thing that I've been doing as well, which is an ever ongoing ever ongoing pursuit. It's been going on for so many years now. I'm losing track, and I think it's a job that will never be over. Let's see here, is trying to make sure that we get the Sun Ra collection digitized and in order and in one place. So in the background, you've been hearing the Avriel bandstand tapes from '89, which I remastered a bunch of them and have been revisiting those. But yeah, I'm kind of right now I'm in the mid '80s, but this is just a small chunk, and it just goes on forever. Thank you so much, Sun Ra and the orchestra, for giving me a lifetime of stuff to enjoy and learn from. But man, he left us a lot to listen to. So part of what I try to do is take care of and document and get into one place to hopefully pass on to others and future generations, trying to get this stuff all in one spot. So that's what I've been doing. Those are my thoughts. And yeah, please speak up and reach out if you want to take this time that we're all home to see if we can all get online and talk some Sun Ra. So take care of yourselves, stay healthy, stay happy, and take care of your families and your communities. Space is indeed the place. Later.